Okay, so we are getting to the second part of the tutorial. So we are going to focus on the nostrils, the upper lip and the lower lip. We are going to layer and start building up those sorts of textures and that with our pencil. So with the nostrils, the upper lip and the lower lip, we didn't etch anything into the paper. So the texturing part of this tutorial, or this area of the drawing, is going to be done with our pencils. So we are going to layer in different colors, and we are going to add the value gradually, and then we will define everything in the end with all the subtle details that really bring it to a point of realism. So let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my black Prismacolor pencil, and I am going to start lightly defining all the darker values and shades. So the nostril is the darkest area, so I'm going to lightly fill that in. So as you would have seen with the eye, we never use a heavy hand, we just layer gently, and if we need it to be darker, we layer more and more. But for this, it's soft layers. So the nose is, you just have to focus on the different shapes that you see. There's no point in trying to look at the nose as a whole. So just focus on the different shapes and go one area at a time. That way it's not going to be overwhelming and you're going to have fun with it. Because when you just focus on the tiny shapes and that, and then after an hour of drawing you take a step back and have a good look, you get this real satisfying feeling because you start seeing how it's coming together. The nose has a funny sort of crease over here, so I want to make sure that I've put that in. So it's not just a straight line that's dividing these two, so there is a little bit of a hairy texture from the hairs on the top lip going over. So don't do that in a straight line. When you're drawing these values softly, just sort of going a little up and down motion, because that helps give you the illusion of a texture and the hair coming over the bottom lip. Okay, so already you're starting to see the form and the shape of the mouth. Using my burnt ochre, I'm going to start adding some color over the areas with darker value, just on the bottom section. Remember to keep looking at your reference photo. If you're not sure what I mean or why I'm doing things in certain ways, have a look at the reference and you should be able to tell. So I'm sort of creating little strokes here because I can see the direction in the hair. So always make sure you go in the right direction, and it will naturally start forming the texture that is there, because you're making sure to take notice of the different sorts of values. So with areas you know you're going to keep layering on top and you're not too worried about the details, you can just go in and sort of just lay that color down on there, like I am here. Here I'm not worried about detail, I just want to get this color in as a layer. Okay, so the bottom lip, you have to be very careful because you've got really fine little hairs that are going to go over the background area. So that, you just want to create those soft little strokes. And you don't want to overdo it. So working over the black area as well, I'm adding this color. Adding it in over here. Okay, so the next color I'm going to come in with is my PC 1034, and I am going to start adding in those really golden colors in the nose. Well, nose slash upper lip area. So not worrying about detail, just wanting to get that color in for now. But still paying attention and making sure that I am just putting the colors in the right areas, not overdoing it and just putting all the colors everywhere. Okay, the next color is the PC 1094, which is the sandbar brown. We're going to enhance some of the areas that have a darker value as well. So I really love this color. It's almost like a combination of green and brown, so it gives a really good natural transition and feel when you blend it with any sort of color, really, especially when you're working on a wild animal. Now we are using our 50% French Grey PC 1076, and we are going to go over the areas that are much darker again. So continue that layering until we feel like we can establish a real sense of depth and good color layering before we blend with the solvent. Okay, now I am using my black and I just want to darken up this nostril even more. Now notice that the edges of the nostrils almost have these tiny little hairs like this. So do that on the edge before you fill in the middle. And that will give the texture or the look that it's a sort of hairy nostril. Okay, and I want to darken up a little more here. Don't overdo the darkest of dark values. We haven't layered with the solvent yet, so everything still looks very dull. But the minute we do blend with the solvent, it will start showing up much better. So next we are going to use our burnt ochre again, PC 943, and we want to enhance those red areas. Now I'm going to add another color, the light umber, PC 941. Okay, so now I think we're ready to blend our first layer with our solvent, and then it's going to make it easier for us to see exactly which areas need more color and value and detail, and it's just going to make it easier for us to see. So dip your brush in. I'm going to blend the nostril. Make sure to still go in the right direction and not go too much over the edges, because you want those edges to be really, really soft. But you still want to blend it in to enhance the pigment of the pencil and to get through the texture of the paper to make it look really nice and even. So take your time with blending, don't rush it, and make sure you're still looking at your reference photo all the time and you are still focusing on the direction. And then if you notice that you need to change something as you're starting to blend different areas, then that's good, because then we know to focus on those areas later. Be very careful with your edges. You don't want to overdo your edges. You still want them to look soft and natural over the background. Okay, so now we're already starting to really get a good feel of exactly how this mouth and nose is supposed to look like. So all we have to do now is start paying extra attention to every single area of it, and then adding in those subtle defining strokes of pencil. The hardest part is done. Now it's just defining and fixing up and tweaking a little bit, and then it's all gonna fit very well together. So using my 20% warm grey PC1051, I want to fill in some of these areas over here. It's a bit of a grey, it's not completely white, so I want to blend that into this top area of the nostril. Still using a light hand. Now there's a white little tuft over here, so I am going to use my white Prismacolor pencil. So I have a whole bunch of white pencils like this. If you're going to buy Prismacolor pencils, buy a whole bunch of white ones because you go through them a lot. So I'm going to fill in that white. Not 100% white, but that's okay. And then I want to use a bit of the white over here as well, because I've noticed that that is quite a bit more highlighted than the other little areas. Okay. Now I'm also going to use this 20% warm grey PC1051 in this area over here. And slightly down the middle area. And over here. Then using the same color, I'm going to go into this scar, and I'm going to add some of that color in there as well. And then I've noticed there's more of this grey over here. And a little bit over here. Okay, now using a darker grey, so the 70% French grey PC1056, we are going to enhance some of these little areas, and there's these almost circular little textured pieces just over here. So we want to put them in very gently as well. Then using the same grey, I'm going to enhance on the value, the darker little values in this top section over here, because I can notice that those are darker little areas if you take a good look at your reference photo. Okay, so I feel like I've really enhanced some of those dark values. Now I want to enhance more of the red, so I'm coming back in with my burnt ochre, PC943. This time I am paying attention to detail and trying to go and put in the right strokes in the right directions and only working on the areas that need this color. PC946, and starting to fill in the brown areas. Focusing on detail as well. Using a very soft circular motion, I am putting the brown all along this area here, particularly the middle area right here, because that's got a darker value. Okay, the texture is really starting to come to life now. Now I'm going to use my cream PC914 and I'm going to put in these really light or soft little highlights on the upper lip here. But I think I need to blend with the solvent first to actually get that to stand out a little bit more. So I'm gonna come in with my solvent again, just on the front of the upper lip. So I just want to blend this in a little bit. Okay, and now I want to add, actually I'm going to blend a little bit on this area as well. And now I'm going to come in with my yellow or my cream. Trying to add in these little highlighted hairs here. And I want to add some cream into here as well. Just because that is a little bit of a lighter area on the upper nose. And the same for this section here. Okay, and I might even try use my white to further highlight some of these little hairs on the lip. That works well. And even over here, it's a little more highlighted, some of these sections. Okay, now I feel like it has lost a little bit of that golden touch, so now I'm going to come in with my PC 1034 and I'm going to add those oranges to just bring that golden tinge back again. And I think I feel very, very happy with that. Okay, so I'm just going to explain what we just done. So we went through the process of drawing the nostrils and the mouth of the giraffe. And I'm sure by doing this with me, I really hope that you did it with me, you get a very good feel of what layering is about. You gently put down those colors, you put down all the colors, you observe your reference so much, and you just take note of different shapes, different areas. and you gradually build it up, build it up, build it up until you have all the values and the sort of pigments that you want. And then you notice that the minute you've layered all your colors and then you do the first layer of solvent and blending, the colors just pop and become so pigmented, and the look becomes so smooth, and you create that texture with your pencils, because we didn't create that texture with our etching tool on that area. But it shows you that by just taking note of drawing in the right direction and just getting a feel for the different sorts of movements required in your pencil to create different illusions of different textures, is a great process to go through, and it's not that difficult. I think a lot of people will see something that's finished or as a whole, and they're like, where do I start? I don't know where to start. So the easiest way to start, or where we started on this, was we used our black pencil and we gently started to identify different shapes and values first, and then we started building up those areas by adding the correct colors, by taking note of our reference photo. And we just continued to do that, and we continued to do that until we got to a point where we felt like it was finished. The pigment is where we wanted, the value is where we wanted, the colors are how we wanted, and the texture looks realistic. Once you get to that point, then you're like, okay, I finished that section, now we're ready to move on. And it is natural for you to just keep coming back all the time and fixing different areas as you go, because the more you start working on surrounding areas, the more you start seeing more and more as you proceed further. So I hope that you guys enjoyed that, and now you're starting to really get a feel for the process of layering. And the next step is going to be the horns and the ears. And this is going to be fun because we did use an etching tool to do the texturing in the horns. So this is where you're really going to see how that texturing is going to benefit the drawing when we get to those sections. And the ears only have tiny little hairs that are sticking out of it that have been etched out. The rest of it is still just the paper. So we're going to see how having the two next to each other makes such a difference. So let's get into it. Oh, you are also going to notice that my hair and my outfit is going to change a lot throughout this tutorial, and that is because it is a new day. So I just want to quickly explain to you what I do and the reason I will be changing so much. I like to create a section in a drawing. So yesterday I did the eye, and then I like to take that entire section or that recording and actually edit it on that day. So I list the colors, I edit everything, I add the music, I sort out the audio, I make sure that I have my pencils listed, and everything is still fresh in my head, and I actually create that edited part of the tutorial on the day, and then it's done. And then the next day I would do another section, like today is the next day, and we created the nostrils and the mouth. And now I'm going to go ahead and edit that in the tutorial video, and as well as the PDF reference or ebook that I like to create for the tutorials. And then I would do it that way. That gives me variation in the day, and also doing it on the day, everything is so fresh in my head. I've just done it, so when I edit it, it makes it really, really easy to just flow through the whole process. And like I said, the variation is nice. I get a little bit of drawing, a little bit of editing and creating done, and then you do bits and pieces like that every day, and by the time you reach the end, wow, it's a rewarding feeling to get finished with all of that at the same time, and not having to worry about, okay, I have all these stacks of videos that I've just created, and now I have to go and edit every minute of it. So it gets a bit dreary if you do it that way. So yes, I'm going to be changing a lot. And also, I'm going to try and remember to remove my glasses, because I have noticed that the reflection of the lights in the glasses can be very, very annoying. Me not wearing my glasses can be very annoying, but I will try and remember, just for these little conclusion videos at the end of every section, to take off my glasses so that you're not trying to follow those lights in my glasses all the time. Okay, so next up is going to be the horns and the ears.